Hello and welcome to programming. Today we're going to take a look at arrays. Now that we've created classes of objects, we need a way to manage the different instances of our objects. So when we start adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1,000 of them to our program, we need a way to manage that. And arrays are what we are going to use. So an array is just simply a bucket or a container to hold a group of objects of the same type. So some programming languages, arrays can hold different data types inside of processing. An array can only hold objects of the same kind or type. So when we look at the documentation here in arrays, we can see where we initiate an array, and we can just simply use the square brackets to indicate it's an array. That's a very common convention across many programming languages. When we see square brackets, we know we're referencing an array object. So we say the type of object that goes into the array. So instead of just saying int numbers, we go int and square brackets indicating we're creating an array. We have the name we provide for it, and then we say new int, and in this case we're creating an array with 3 slots. So processing wants to know how many objects are in our array. They don't like to have dynamically changed or set length arrays. So when we create an array, we assign how many objects are in that array. There are some other things we can do. We have a bunch of array methods we can explore, and we will look at those. If we look in the help document, we can see we have our different array functions. But right now we are just going to work on creating an array. Jumping back into processing, if we want to create an array to hold numbers, then we would just go int, and this would be an array holding integers, just like in the documentation, and we can go numbers equals new and we have to repeat the data type twice inside of processing. That is just one of the quirks. So we specify this variable numbers is going to be an array by using the square brackets, put an int, and then we say new, we're creating a new array, and now in this case I said that array will have 4 elements to it. If I wanted to create an array to hold my box objects, I would just simply type box. Notice the class name, going back into our class previously, we use a capital B on that, so I do class box, square bracket, boxes equals new, capital B box, square bracket, and now I can designate how many I want to put into it. So we'll just start out with, say, 2. So these are methods we can use to create it. Now we can also, if we're following our method of defining variables and then giving them their values inside of setup, which is what we will want to do, I'm just going to delete that and delete this. So now at this point, I can say numbers equals new int square bracket of, like, I'll put 4 objects in that, and boxes equals new capital B box square bracket, and we'll just put in 2. So this would be a preferred way of doing it, where we define our variables, our global variables, outside of it, but we don't give them their values. We assign the values inside our setup. So this now creates it, but there aren't any objects in that array yet. So if we just even go into my numbers, to access an array object, we once again use square brackets. So square brackets, every time we see it in our code, that's our indication that this is going to be tied to something with arrays. So if I go numbers and put in the number 0, so what happens is within an array, every element in that array, or every object, has a position. So we think of it in a linear manner, so they have positions. There's 4 objects in the array, but computers like to start counting at 0, so the positions are 0, 1, 2, and 3. So if I say numbers 0 equals 10, remembering it has to be an integer, numbers square bracket 1 equals 5, numbers square brackets 2 equals say 8, and numbers square brackets 3, so these are my 4 elements, they have positions 0, 1, 2, and 3, is now equal, and I will say 12. One thing that we can do to kind of send ourselves messages is we can output content to the console. So if we have errors in our code, messages go into the console, but we can also send messages to the console. And we use the command print ln, as in print line, put in 2 parentheses and a semicolon. Now inside those parentheses, this is where we put what we want. Now if I just type in the word numbers and run my code, we will see, okay, my box is moving there like it did before, and it's now showing my array with its 4 objects and what those values are. Now if I were to say print line numbers square bracket 3, like that, and run it, we'll see that it now just prints out the number 12. And because these are numbers, we could add them together. And we can see 8 plus 12, and it gave me 20. So it took numbers 3. In the numbers array, it grabbed the object at position 3, and then it grabbed the object at position 2 and added them together and gave me a result of 20. So that's kind of the gist of working with our arrays, but now the boxes, this is where we want to do a little bit more stuff. I'll just leave that commented. I don't need it. We can delete it later. You can use it as reference, but that was just to explain it. So now with my boxes array, we'll just go right underneath it here. And if I just say boxes square bracket 0, there's 2 of them. So boxes at position 0 will be a new box. And now we just put parentheses. That calls the constructor of our box class, creating a new instance of a box. And then we go boxes 1. The second one in my array will be a new box as well. Now, that populated our boxes array. We could choose print line and it could output something to the console, but it's not drawing it. So I'm going to comment out our original B object so we know that we're only working with boxes. So we go boxes square bracket 0 dot update, boxes square brackets 1 dot update, and boxes square bracket 0 dot display, and boxes square brackets 1 dot display. So we're telling each of our boxes, and just as a good practice is we do all of our updates, then we do all of our displays versus doing box 0 update, box 0 display, box 1 update, box 1 display. Because typically we want to have all of our objects update, so all of any type of, if we're doing collision detection, border work, or all those different things, we want all of that to take place, and then we draw objects in their final destination after everything has been calculated. So if we run this, and we'll see there, now we have 2 boxes. So this works well for a few objects, but what we want to do is we want to learn a way to manage large groups of objects, and that's what we will embark upon next. Good luck, happy coding.